Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch, and welcome today to another installment of the Jomwa Saves series, the series where I save you thousands of dollars by showing you an affordable lookalike to a much less affordable watch. And today you can save over 15,000 US dollars by not buying a vintage Blancpain 50 Fathoms and buying a Phorcydes homage instead. Some people get upset by watches that are blatant copies of current catalogue stuff, and that is fair enough. I think, however, people get far less upset about copies of long dead vintage watches, and that is what we're looking at today. The Phorcydes is a homage of a classic Blancpain dive watch from the 1950s, arguably the classic dive watch of the 1950s, a decent example of which will cost you today anywhere between 10 and 16,000 US dollars. The Phorcydes comes in at a much more reasonable 150 US dollars. And you know what you get for $1.50? You get lume blocks. I've never seen anything this cheap with lume blocks on the dial before. That's the reason why I was so keen to get these on the channel and to have a good look at them. Now, you saw the pop-up. The brand sent me a couple of these watches for review. I do not have to send them back. I will therefore, of course, leave links to the listing for these watches on both AliExpress and the brand's own website in the description of the video. So, we know they're cheap, but are they any good? Let's flip the camera and find out. Alright, let's get into it. They come in a kind of basic little travel pouch with a stamped and dated warranty card, which you don't always get on AliExpress. Now, I'm not going to get into the history of the 50 Fathoms too much, but I will leave a link to an excellent article in the description of the video that goes right through the whole thing. Blancpain made a number of different styles of 50 Fathoms. This isn't necessarily the one that you would most associate with the name. There were a number of models that were double branded with French manufacturer Leap. This is a homage of one of those. You can actually get this one with 4 different loom options. There is a blue loom option, a green loom option, a mixed blue and green loom option, and an orange loom option, which seriously changes the dial tone, as you can clearly see. Or for an extra $12, you can get it on what looks like a decent beads of rice bracelet. Again, the 4 different loom options. I would probably be going for the bracelet. $12 for a half-decent bracelet. It's got to be worth rolling the dice on that one, I reckon. The ones I was sent were supplied with FKM rubber, but again, there's a couple of different styles here. A kind of nurdled one on the left and a plain one on the right. The watch on the left has mixed coloured lume blocks. The watch on the right has orange coloured lume blocks. Either way, it's a good looking watch. I know Photina isn't for everyone, but I do quite like the effect, the kind of extreme effect that you get from this particular orange version. That is a lovely piece of boxed sapphire crystal. It's a high gloss ceramic bezel insert that goes really well with the aforementioned piece of sapphire crystal, and FKM rubber straps. You can't whack these things, you really can't. Super comfortable, and they don't attract any ooze or fluff. Nice set of dimensions on these. Again, not necessarily what you might expect if you're used to the larger 50 Fathoms homages. This one is 39.8mm in diameter, 13.1mm thick, with a 47.8mm lug tip to lug tip. 20 mils between the lugs, as supplied on the FKM here. It weighs in at 93 grams. It has 200 meters of water resistance with the aid of a screw down crown. Boxed sapphire as noted. The movement in the back, bit of a rarity these days actually. It's the good old Seiko NH35. I say that because they've actually been a little bit hard to get a hold of this year due to a limited supply. We did speak to the Seiko rep at the Hong Kong Clock and Watch Fair last month though, who said that supply would be increasing, so they'll be easier to get a hold of. Over the course of 2026, we can all rest easy therefore. Not sure if they should really have lip and 50 Fathoms on there. I'd probably be deleting those from the case back for future versions of this watch if I was Phorcydes. That is a classic case profile though, isn't it? And the case finishing is nice, if a little bit sharp. You don't actually notice it on wrist, but that bottom edge of the center section could definitely do with a little bit of extra refinement. Nice thin bezel on there as well. 6.5mm crown unsigned, which is perfectly in keeping with this style of homage. Plenty of grip when you need to use it though. And look, these FKM rubber straps are not expensive, or at least they don't have to be, but they are
excellent. I far prefer this style over a Tropic style. I know it's kind of, you get away with a Tropic on this style of watch as well, but I love these plain ones. Not as convinced by this one though. I reckon it looks like it belongs on a much more contemporary watch. Either way, they're both quick release and you do get decent matching Phorcydes branded hardware. Alright, dial in hands, let's go macro and let's get back to those Loom blocks. Like I said, Loom blocks for $150. This seems to be one of the big trends of 2025, certainly in terms of dive watches, but I've seen these on field watches, I've seen these on all kinds of watches, and it's great to see them on watches at this price point. Little bit of a rough edge here and there, particularly on the numerals. The numerals are very thin, but the fact that the numerals are Loom blocks at this price is pretty remarkable. As is the fact that there's something of a sandwich dial effect here as well. The Phorcydes logo has been cut out and the surface underneath is loomed, as you'll see in just a minute or two. No minute markers on the outer edge of the dial today, rather they are halfway towards the edge of the dial, sitting inboard of the indices and the numerals. In addition to that recessed logo, there's a bit of printing underneath the pinion just saying automatic and the depth rating. They've kept it pretty clean. The hour and minute hand have syringe tips just like they did on the original watches back in the 50s, and it's an arrowhead seconds hand that also features Loom. Those high gloss bezel inserts are not fully graded, which suggests that unlike the guys in the 50s, you wouldn't be taking this one out diving and having your life depend on it, but that's not really the point in 2025. Rather, this is the point of these ones. Those Loom blocks look great after dark. I actually quite like the mixed colouring on the left, mixture of green and blue, and the orange. And you'd expect a compromise from the orange Loom blocks after dark, but it's not actually too bad. If I turn the speed up, you can see that the bezel insert on the orange watch fades first. But by the end of the test, the one on the left, the mixed Loom, is actually still doing pretty well. No surprises at all on wrist, and thankfully that slightly sharp edge to the mid case sits a good few millimeters away from my delicate flesh. The contemporary strap is comfortable, and again it's the same material as the smooth one, but yeah, I don't think it looks nearly as good. It rather detracts from the dial and the handset. Both watches offer pretty decent arm's length legibility, but the non-orange dial definitely the better of the two thanks to the contrast between the numerals, the hands and the dial surface. But it can't all be sweetness and light. It's never all sweetness and light. As noted, yeah, a bit of a sharp edge to the underside of that mid case. And once I switch to my super macro lens, not only do you see rough edges on those numeral Loom blocks, but you also see rough edges with the Loom application on the bezel inserts. And the bezel action on these is unconvincing. No bag play, no bounce, but it's so light, it's not actually a pleasant bezel to operate, and the fact that the marker at 12 is so similar to the markers at 3, 6 and 9 means you might not always get it the right way up first time. Do you know what? We are really spoiled for great value divers. $150 for this Phorcydes is okay, but you can get a more traditional 50 Fathoms homage from Tandorio for half of that, or the good old Steel Dive 1970 Seiko homage, again for about half of the price of the Phorcydes. But hey, neither of those other watches have Loomy blocks, and really how much you are into those will determine how much you are into this.
So there you have it. It's a pretty simple one today. If you love the look and you love the Loom blocks, then go for it. If you don't, then buy the Steel Dive 1970 instead. Well done for making it all the way to the end of the video. You really should check out my review of the aforementioned Steel Dive, or another cracking watch for not a lot of coin that features Loom blocks. Thanks for watching. I'll see you over there.